Davening takeaway, Torah Ohr, Daf 116. In this Daf, the mimer, which is referring back to Megillus Esther, and it's talking about the idea, the uniqueness of the Megillah, the uniqueness of Purim, in that Hashem came from a very, very, very high level from its essence and came down into this world, but not just into this world, into even the gullus of this world, and in such a way that it wasn't just through the normal flow through what's known as the Seder Stalshalis, from chaining down from step to step, but it was a jumping fashion. It leaped, it had to be able to reach down and be meaningful into this world and still retaining its high level. And so two different places on the stuff, it refers to things in davening that reflect this same idea that we can think about. The first one is very early in the davening, and we're talking about the preliminaries before Hodu, right after the Akedas Yitzchak, where it's talking about the fact that Hashem, despite whatever has not given up on us and is still with us. And as the pasuk reads actually from the Siddur, it says, and it is said, yet even then, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not abhor them nor spurn them so as to destroy them and annul my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. And so this is reflecting on this tremendous leap down from this very, very high level down to the very low level, to be with us, to be able to help us and encourage us to continue and grow and realize that the godliness that's around us and in us. And we see that also reflected in another place on another part of this page, where talking about this jump down and reflecting on different ways Hashem does come down and comparing that to this big jump. It does talk about that this can be described in different places in different ways. Whether it's down here in Gullus, there's places where it refers from the world of Atzilus to Bria as also being a jump like that, because Bria now introduces the concept of yesh, of a sense of self, of ego, and separation. And even there is this aspect of separation and lowness, and that Hashem will still be there for us and with us. And it quotes something that's mentioned in the Midrash or in the Maimar Chazal, that I think it's in the Gemara actually, where it's from Parshas Vayichi, when Yaakov is about to tell or wants to tell his children, the Shvatim, about the future. And in the end, he ends up talking about other things. However, as sort of an introduction to that, it's explained that he explains that they are all precious to him, all the tribes, despite the forefathers, Abraham, who had to separate Ishmael from Yitzchak, also from Esav and Yaakov, where Esav was not, no longer holding by a level. He was considered a Russia, and so he had to be separated as such. Nevertheless, all the children of Yaakov were tzaddikim and precious to him, and he was not going to make any distinctions between them. As a result, the children made a statement, which they said, the Shema Yisrael, it says. And in that, saying that just like in your heart, Yaakov, there's only the oneness of Hashem, the oneness of everything. So too in our hearts, where we only find the oneness in Hashem's oneness. And so, interestingly, this is put in right where it's describing the idea of even an idea of separation from Atzilus to Bria. The Shvatim are known to, their neshamas come from Bria. Yaakov and the Avos and the Emos, they came from Atzilus. And so we see that the Shvatim making a statement that they too recognize Hashem's oneness and said the Shema. This aspect at that level, the Mimer says, is a level of Bitul HaYesh, not a Bitul B'Metzias. There's there is a Yesh, there is a sense of self, an ego, and that is become batul to Hashem, but not completely dissolved into Hashem's oneness. And so we see that reflected in this is referring to the Shema Yisrael and Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elam Voed, because as soon as the Shvatim said the Shema, Yaakov's response was the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Elam Voed. And so we see that there are these different aspects of recognizing godliness. Now in the Shema, we are holding a level and a sensitivity that level of bittul, even though it might be a bittul yesh, is very sublime, and we're still able to attach ourselves to Hashem in a very deep way. Unlike, say, the beginning of davening, when there's still a feeling of that separateness, and we have a statement where even in that very low space, Hashem is still with us and bringing that godliness to us.